switch between question asking, displaying the ball, and then displaying the answer. And then you see those parts of the starter code, why I called it the way it did. Okay, so to help you understand part of like what's happening, I'm going to demonstrate. I'm going to copy and paste the starter code, and let's say we're lost on making sense of it. So we're going to comment out some things, and then I'll point out the parts you have to do. So on Google Classroom, we'll go to Computer Programming A. We'll click on the assignment prompt under classwork towards the bottom, right here. Your following assignment after the 8-ball has also been posted. If you want to work on it over spring break, you can, and that's getting Tron working. And from last semester, lots of people are very proud of their Tron because they even had like a computer AI going around in that assignment. It's quite neat. Okay, so I'm copying and pasting all this code over as if I were a student trying to get started on this assignment. It's a lot of starter code. I go to a code pen, start a new pen. I remember to add in my favorite p5.js library, save, drag this over, change the look of my browser. Let's have it look like this. And then I paste all this code in here. All right, I click run, and then nothing happens. Oh no. Darn, Mr. Chan. Why? Okay, so I've had some functions, and there's a lot of code here. And now let's just try to get part of the 8-ball to display. If you're using my starter code, there's the draw ball function that draws the magic 8-ball. There's the skeleton of the logic that has to happen. And with the display ball that represents the asking question state, then there's also display answer. And that's where the majority of your work will go. So we notice inside the draw function, where a lot of the stuff happens, we'll temporarily comment out these lines. Line 22, the corresponding squiggly bracket, because that stuff is currently breaking our code. We'll call draw ball, and as expected, we should be able to see, that. I give you this code. And so far, when I click, nothing so much happens. If I comment out draw ball, and now I say draw or display answer, we should see a similar screen appear. Run. And now notice that subtle change, the magic 8 part of your ball became that triangle, and it's your goal to now display an answer right over here. Okay? If you had both of these at the same time, display answer will happen second, so that's the one you should be able to see. Order matters, although these functions are a bit more complicated, they're really just drawing things with the screen. Okay, so if I move this one down here, we should be able to see that 8. But notice that both things are currently being drawn. If you zoom into the text, you'll see that overlapping behavior. Right here it says think of a question and then also click the ball to ask another question. So both things are being drawn. That's further evidence of that. Okay, so somehow you have to be able to switch. Okay, how do I know to display the answer? How will I know to display a ball? And that's why you'll fill in these if statements. But as you're just starting out, do comment them out and add them back in once you're ready for it. And to help you understand, okay, how do I move between these two things? On p5.js, here's a very familiar function that does something very similar. From the reference, from the documentation, there's the mouse click function. When we click on this square, it turns a dark color. Then we click it again, it becomes a white color. This is the essential logic we need to borrow into our magic 8-ball thing. Notice at this point, they have a variable that helps you control that behavior. It's either 0 or 1, kind of like a coin. It's either heads or tails. You are or you are not. It's a very big idea in computer science. Everything's either true or false, 0 or 1. And moving between those two things is I'm unsure. Like, it's tough at first to understand, and like it's a couple lines of code, but it does so much. So this value right here helps you switch between the dark. If the value is 0, it becomes 255, so all lights are on. Otherwise, when it's 1, value becomes 0. Notice how it switches between those two behaviors. If statement's part of it, but the other part is assigning the value. So it goes to 255, it goes to 0. So in this case, it's either 255 or it's 0, and it switches between the two. When it is 0, we make it 255. If it's not 0, that's what else is saying, then we turn it back to 0. Questions about that? So that's how we get this behavior, and you should see some similarities between this display answer and display ball or draw ball. And in this case, oh, wrong one. And in this example, at the very top, answer by itself should be the one that helps you control that state. It's either true or false. You can use this keyword, true, or you can go use 0 and 1, whatever numbers, as long as you switch between the two. My intention behind random answer is it helps you generate a random thing. And notice the square brackets here, this is your answers array. So I'll give you another hint. If you go to your assignment prompt, you should copy and paste these answers. If you're going for your vanilla or original answers, you'll copy and paste that into line 6. And notice right now, nothing's highlighted, so you have to make them into strings. You have to add in these quotes, add in these commas to distinguish each of them. Okay, don't count on it, and then comma, so on and so forth, which I hope you were able to figure out on your own. The pattern continues. Let's say for this example I only have for the first 4. This is how you declare and initialize an array. Right now, I only have 1, 2, 3 answers at the moment. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say here. The comments just say, or just spell out what I told you right now. I hope that's enough to get you thinking about what to fill in.